Carrasco. And thank you for reading.
Manny Pacquiao, Nicole, I don't think there'll be a problem for Manny.
Has its share of great fights. But every once in a while, the mind can also be considered for nothing. Again, happy for nothing.
PM, only here on Para sa Bayan. And that's the opening bell for Round by Round, presented to you by Eastern Communications. Mamuhay Pilipinas! Welcome world, I'm Boyet Sison.
And I'm Ryan Sangalia. Dennis Principe joins us later on in the show.
On this edition of our program, the Filipino Flash, no need to deny it, said it'll be all business when he meets fellow Filipino Raymart Gabalio in the boxing ring. Ngayon mga kaibigan, yung reigning na WBC Bantamweight Champion, ang sabi niya ay kung sa kanya ay mabibigyan siya ng pagkakataon, he will knock out Gabalio because sabi niya, that is the way he has been wired. Now, Ryan Sangalia, is that really the way that Nonito Donaire has been wired all this time?
Absolutely. You know, Donaire is not the kind of guy who goes out there, plays it safe, and tries to win on points. His thing is catch you between a shot and put you to sleep. And the exciting thing about this fight is that Raymart Gabalio is the same way. He doesn't have a safety first option. So I would say we have a very high chance of seeing a knockout in this fight. And I love the competitive spirit because for so many years, there was this very contrived notion that Filipinos should not be fighting against each other in meaningful fights. I thought that was malarkey. I say, hey, how can you be a champion of the world if you can't be a champion of the Philippines? If someone on your block says, no, I'm better than you, then as a fighter, you need to go and put them down on their butts. So that's what these two guys are trying to do. They've worked their way into this position, and now it's time to see who's the better fighter.
Well, as far as Gabalio is concerned, of course, this will be a true test for Raymart as far as the international and the world boxing stage is concerned. Will he be able to really put up a good fight against Donaire?
He better hope he is able to do so because Gabalio is stepping up, not just in class, like, going to the next level. He's going basically from, jumping, he's going from AAA ball to pitching game one of the World Series. This is Nonito Donaire is not just an experienced fighter, but he's a fighter who can hurt you and he can ruin careers. We've seen him do it many times before. He hurts people. So Gabalio has better be ready for that. Gabalio is a prodigious puncher, but the issue with him is, has he had enough time to work on his craft so that he can get in and out of danger, so that he can get his rhythm established, that he can box effectively to set up that big power. I'm not exactly sure because that Emmanuel Rodriguez fight was kind of an eye-opener in many regards because it showed the rawness of Gabalio. We're talking sushi raw. We're talking no fear Pacquiao raw. So that was kind of an eye-opener. He got a decision that many people felt he didn't deserve. And now he's going from that fight more or less, into a fight with Nonito Donaire Jr., who is perhaps the most dangerous puncher who's ever been at 118 pounds.
With the offering intramurals that Nonito Donaire had to contend with as far as John Riel Casimero is concerned, and then finally a deal has been struck to fight Gabalio. Is Nonito Donaire really focused on handling a hungry fighter like Raymart Gabalio?
I think he is. And I think that there's something, there's another level of motivation for him because Gabalio is Filipino and Donaire had sort of been stuck with that Phil Am tag, throughout his life, even though he was born, in Bohol, raised in Bohol, he's a Filipino. I think some of that we saw in the Casimero bad blood So that kind of manifested itself. There was a lot that was happening that wasn't being said there, but you can sense it in just how hot they were. I mean, I remember a long time ago when there was talk of Marvin Sonsona, for instance, who was trained by his father, perhaps going in there and fighting Nonito Donaire Jr. And another level of competition or competitive spirit came out of Donaire. So, yeah, I think that he's focused. I think it would be – could you imagine this? Could you imagine Manny Pacquiao losing to a Filipino welterweight? You know what I mean? That would be a great embarrassment to Pacquiao, because not only is he not the baddest guy in the world, he's not the baddest guy in his country. So that's what is at stake for Nonito Donaire Jr.
Well, just as a last footnote to this particular discussion, how will it pan out? You have a Nonito Donaire and a Gabalio fighting under a brand new promotions outfit called Probellium. And how will this pan out as a big event for the promotions outfit?
I think it will be a test to see how they can run a show. Probellum is working with Premier Boxing Champions, which has a relationship with Showtime. Showtime is doing this fight. And so they're working with professionals. Richard Schaefer has decades of experience in boxing, so I'm not so concerned about that for him. But I think that I think it would be a really good test of just how ready Richard Schaefer is to re-enter the spotlight again as a top promoter.
And we'll be looking forward to that fight between Raymond Gabalio challenging Nonito Donaire Jr. On our second topic, mga kaibigan, ng aming naman pag-uusapan ay katatapos lamang na 2021 AIBA Men's World Boxing Championships. At meron ng listahan po ng mga kaibigan ng mga nanalo. There were thrilling bouts in 13 men's weight categories in Belgrade, wherein 88 AIBA member federations that were represented. Unfortunately, the Philippines did not participate. And Ryan, I just got word from ABAP Secretary General Ed Picson, which I just received just now, that one of the reasons why we did not participate, according to Mr. Picson, is because of the lockdowns, our boxers were not able to train adequately. And that is a quote that I'm getting from Mr. Picson, who replied to my query just now. So is this a tournament, Ryan, that we should be participating in?
Absolutely.
Or it's not really that much of a big deal?
I mean, think about it this way. The Philippines makes such a big deal out of SEA Games boxing, which has zero bearing on anything involving, international competition. It's just a way to get medals, basically, for the Philippines and, sometimes Thailand as well. But yeah, no, this is a tournament that the Philippines should be in, because it's a great test for the fighters at the international level. And not only that, but, it's a great way to make money for the boxers who bring home medals. I mean, when you think about the SEA Games boxing, for instance, the level of opposition is lower than what some of them will fight at, like the barangay level, right? So if that's important, then the AIBA World Champion should be. And now I understand AIBA is, a hopelessly corrupt organization, and they've had many investigations. They lost the right to actually oversee the Olympic boxing because of their endless shenanigans and incompetence.
Past regressions, to put it more kindly.
Yeah, those two. But at the same time, this is the world that we live in. This is the soup that we swim in. So the Philippines should have been there.
So when you rate the AIBA Men's or Women's World Championship, Where will you put it in the bigger
Right below the Olympics. Right
picture of-
below the Olympics.
Okay.
Right under the Olympics. And then in some weight classes, the Asian championships are, more or less the Olympics, because that's where all the best fighters are in certain weights. But yeah, this is right below the Olympics in terms of prestige. And it would have been a great opportunity because, a lot of the fighters who had competed at the Olympics had moved on and not, they turned professional or they're focused on other things. It would have been great, to see if Marshall could, go out there and improve off of his 2019 silver medal finish, or some of the lesser known Filipinos, the next generation of amateur standouts could have gotten some exposure. Because you got to remember, Charlie Suarez, he really came into his own fighting at the World Championships. I believe his first one was 2005.
Mhm.
So like that, it's a really big experience, not just in the ring, but to deal with all of the surroundings, the attention of fighting on the world stage, fighting internationally. The Philippines has never won a gold medal at the AIBA Men's World Championships. We've won 2 in the women's on the women's side. I believe it was Josie Gabuco and Nesty Petesio who won gold medals there. But and the men's side, we had Harry Tanyamor and Roel Velasco, and as well as Yumir Marshall win silver medals. It would have been nice to see the Philippines continue their momentum off of the Olympics.
How do you feel about apparently, according to their press release, the winners benefited from the unprecedented amount of the prize money, with gold medalists getting $100,000 in addition to gold medals, solid. Let me stress that, solid gold medals and champions belts. How much of a motivational factor is that now for anybody or any country that wants to participate in the AIBA Men's or Women's World Championship?
Well, I think it's beautiful because the AIBA and all these other organizers are making money. So yeah, the fighters should be making money too. And I like that that's becoming the norm as opposed to like an anomaly from some countries that are taking care of their fighters, like their financial incentives for like certain champions in amateur tournaments. Yeah, I think it's great because, you can literally fight your way out of poverty. If a Filipino was to win one of those gold medals, that would change their life. So it would have been great to have fielded a team. I think that, when you're a boxer, when your job is a boxer, you don't go to work 6 weeks a year. So it would have been great to see them send some guys over there just
Even if just for the experience, right?
Yes. I mean, there may be other commitments that Yumir Marshall would have had to make, or even Carlo Paalam. But send the backup. There's an A team, B team, C team. Would have been great if one of those teams, was in shape and could have gone.
And now for the next segment of today's program, let's now turn it over to our colleague Dennis Principe.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mag-uusapan po natin ngayon itong world-class na promoter dito po sa Pilipinas, ang Sandman Promotions. Alam nyo, ang pinaka-boss po niyan, si JC Manangkil. Matagal ko nang kilala, more than 10 years. I remember, una kong na-meet yan, nung meron akong nakitang isang magaling na boksingero na taga Mindanao, si Jetro Oliva. And I was able to cover some of his fights. So nagsisimula pa lamang siya. And then doon, naging magkakilala na kami at magkaibigan. Nung magkapatid actually. Yung mga Manangkil brothers. At ang talagang di-decide dyan, itong si JC Manangkil. Now, maganda pag-usapan ngayon itong Sandman Promotions because very impressive pa rin talaga, as always, yung kanilang pagkuha po ng mga Filipino boxers na bago pa man na makilala, talagang nakikita na nila yung husay no, nitong mga boksingerong ito. No? And in terms of pinpointing kung sino yung mga talagang masasabing world-class na mga boxers, hindi po matatawaran yung galing, no, ni JC Manangkil and the rest of his team dyan po sa San Juan Promotions. Right now, ang latest acquisition po nila itong si Vince Paras, no, taga General Santos, isa rin po sa mga hinahangaan kong boksingero na for quite some time lumalaban ito ng halos hindi man sa kulang, but hindi po sapat yung suporta, no. Yung kanyang main backer si former Mayor Jojo Lopez, recently nagkaroon po ng problema, no, kaya mas lalo naging malaki problema ni Vince Paras, but it's nice to note na itong batang ito na one way or the other na natulungan po natin, ngayon po officially part na po ng Sandman Promotions. At pag sinabing Sandman, nandyan yung narinig na po ninyo, yung Romero Duno, si Raymart Gabalio, na isa pong two-time interim world champion, nandyan din si Aston Palicte, si Jason Mama, marami dyan talaga mga world rated ngayon, na mga boksingero. Now, they've been in the business for almost 2 decades, but medyo matagal yung pagkuha po nila ng isang talagang legitimate, at yung full-time na world champion, because yun nga, alam niyo may debate pa rito sa mga interim titles na yan, kasi si Raymond Gabalio two-time interim champion, WBA interim bantamweight at WBC interim bantamweight. Ngayon po meron po siyang chance na maging full-fledged WBC champion sa paglaban po niya rito kay Nonito Donaire Jr., ang may hawak po ng WBC belt. So, kung titignan po natin, yung paghirang po kay Nonito Donaire, 4-division world champion, pero yung kanyang super flyweight division title, interim din po yun at that time. So, kung sinasabing 4-division, ibig sabihin, pag interim champion ka, pwede ka na ma-consider as a legitimate champion. But without a doubt, Raymond Gabalio is whatever happens dito sa kanyang laban kay Nonito Donaire Jr., mahaba pa ang career niyan. I've known the kid for quite some time. May determinasyon, meron siyang disiplina. At yan yung mga typical na Sandman Promotions fighter. Sila, before they get someone, talagang masasabi mo na halos pare-parehong maganda ugali, maganda yung kanilang discipline, may determination, tsaka talagang world-class boxer. Now, if ever lang, kung meron man sigurong nakikita natin, kung meron man tayong maipapayo na kulang on their part, kung bakit hanggang ngayon, sabi nga natin, almost 2 decades na sila na nasa sport ng boxing, wala pa talagang world champion. That time will come, for sure. But siguro right now, kung titignan natin yung kanilang lineup of boxers, mga bata, magaganda record, I think kailangan yung step up ng mga laban nila, kailangan medyo hindi yung katulad ng ginagawa nila kay Romero Duno na nung nandyan yung Ryan Garcia, laban agad. Ngayon, with Nonito Donaire Jr., I like his chances, si Raymond Gabalio, because yung puncher's chance nandun, dahil isa nga pong knockout artist. Pero to be honest, sana kung may iwasan pa yung Donaire, I think hindi niya kailangan si Donaire, if you talk of Raymond Gabalio. I think he can be a world champion by, trying to avoid si Donaire, because I really don't think kailangan niya si Donaire. Kasi kung titignan natin yung division, maraming mga world champions siya na pwedeng pagtuunan ng pansin. At yung pag-iwas, hindi dahil dapat silang matakot o magduda sila dahil hindi maganda yung chance nila kay Donaire. right now sa tingin ko, si Gabalio, after what I saw, yung kanyang huling laban, ano, kailangan niya ng parang slow build-up. Ano? Because masyadong risky yung Donaire. No? I still believe na Donaire is favored dito sa laban na to. Maganda sana kung medyo, yun nga, naiwasan. Pero nandiyan na yan. Wala tayong magagawa. No? Mangyayari na yung laban na yan. No? Signed, sealed, and delivered. Ika nga, yung mga kontrata. Siguro with other fighters, no? We talk of Vince Paras, meron pang KJ Cataraha, Aston Balikte. Pare-pareho itong mga boxers ito. Kaya gusto kong pag-usapan to sa promotions right now is because from what I'm seeing with this kind of lineup na meron siya sa kanyang roster, kumbaga, no, ng Sandman Promotions, I think they need to invest at least 2 years, step up, build up. Hindi yung pag may naghamon agad na world rated, banat agad. No? Okay lang, iwas-iwas muna. No? Mas maganda yung kung ma-perfect niya muna. No? Yung mga kada boxer niya, ma-improve yung mga imperfections. At the same time, nagkakaroon ng slow build-up, no, of followers sa kanilang mga boxers. No? Hindi yung magugulat na lang yung mga tao na, uy, lalaban na ng World Championship, Sandman Promotions, lalaban sa England, lalaban sa Dubai. No? Mas maganda, every fight, dapat merong tamang plano. No? Not only sa laban, but maraming aspect. Marketing, yung pagko-promote ng bawat laban, importante. Kung meron man sigurong konting pagkukulang, yun lang. No? And yun nga, yun nakakabilib din naman kay JC Manangkil. No? Kung sino naghamon, laban. Sige, world champion ka, laban kami. But kung medyo makokontrol ng konti, no? Bigyan ng tamang, kumbaga, yung kanilang road towards success. No? Mas maganda kung wala munang shortcut. Talagang lagyan ng magandang path, no? Yung bawat boxer, because I'm really excited about Sandman Promotions right now. Napakaganda ng kanilang stable of boxers, and more than one for sure magiging world champion dyan kung magkakaroon ng tamang programa sa bawat boxer ang Sandman Promotions. And that's it for me for tonight. Back to our main host.
Thank you, Dennis. Let's now go to our Fearless Forecast brought to you by Eastern Communications. Mga kaibigan, this coming November 20, Terence Crawford will be putting his WBO welterweight title on the line at the Michelob Ultra Arena at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas against Sean Porter, who has held both the IBF and the WBC welterweight titles in the past. Well, Crawford is a perfect 37-0 in his pro career with 28 wins by knockout. Now, Mr. Songalia's prediction is for Terence Crawford to beat Sean Porter on points. And why do you say this, Mr. Songalia?
Because I'm an antagonist. No, I believe that Terence Crawford has pound for pound ability. Like there was a time when we were debating whether it was Terence Crawford or Saul Canelo Alvarez who was the best fighter pound for pound in the world. But because of the resume that Canelo has been able to put together, he's unifying championships, that discussion is over. It's Canelo. But Crawford has that ability, and he is just one of the meanest guys that ever meet in the boxing ring. He can do it all. Switch stances. He's a boxer. He's a puncher. We've seen him become more of a boxer or puncher, combining the two as he's gotten older. So I'm going to go with Crawford. I think he has a lot to prove. Porter is as tough as they come in this sport. He went out there. He gave Errol Spence probably his toughest fight. He is just a hard-nosed guy. Gets in there. He used to be a football player. Kind of fights like a football player. He's trying to get those extra yards. He's gotten a lot out of his talent. Not just one of the best commentators in boxing now, but also one of the top welterweights. So he's going to give Crawford a lot of trouble, but I think that Crawford will sort of cement his place as perhaps the top active welterweight. We haven't seen really Spence fighting actively, and he just came off the eye injury, and we don't know what he's going to be like when he does return to the ring. And Ugas, just came into his own with the Pacquiao win, but Crawford's been there for a while. This fight is overdue. This kind of challenge at welterweight. So I think Crawford's going to take advantage of this opportunity.
Now is the time for reliable connections. Eastern Communications Fiber One is ideal for powering small and medium enterprises that are now on the way to digitizing their business and pushing forward to a strong and fearless tomorrow. Do contact 53007,000 or visit their website, eastern.com.ph, for more information about the service. And that is our fearless forecast. Terrence Crawford to beat Sean Porter on points, brought to you by Eastern Communications. And that's the final bell for today's episode of Round by Round, presented by Eastern Communications. I am Boyet Cesar.
And I'm Ryan Sangalia. We're on Facebook at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on our YouTube channel right after. So like, follow, share, and subscribe now.
On the next edition of our program, it'll be Nisi Icasiano and a very much awake and hopefully understand his breakfast, Ryan Sangalia, and yours truly, that'll be answering the bell on a midweek. This has been Round by Round, all boxing, all Filipino, all the time. Take care.